so I guess I'm going to get each person to introduce themselves, say a little bit, what's your background, and then we'll hop right into talent and human beings and DAOs.
Hello, I'm Jesse Patterson. I'm one of the founding members of ATX DAO. ATX DAO is a local DAO based out of Austin, Texas, with the goal of making Austin the crypto capital of the world. And we have a couple of different ways that we do that.
Hey everyone, my name is Max. I'm in crypto since 2013, and most of these years I've been connecting people and challenges and projects in the space. And for the last few years, I'm co-founder of a recruitment agency for Web3 and building a platform that helps to find talent and opportunities in Web3.
Hi, I'm Ivan. If you play video games, you probably know some of the video games that we produce for music. I was the music director of Assassin's Creed, developed by Ubisoft, and I also co-produced the music for Final Fantasy, also recorded for the original soundtrack as the original artist, as a pianist. I've been in music business for quite a long time, but got really frustrated because of the infrastructure of the music business, so shifted myself into a Web3 music, and now I run a Web3 music company called Wave, which is a Web3 music streaming and social platform, removing the middleman between music creators and consumers.
Thank you very much. All right, so the topic of this panel, it's the last panel of the day, is going to be the most valuable resource for DAOs and Web3, human beings. So how do, I guess I'm going to ask you guys a question and see who's going to take this one, which is, it dovetails into something that was said on the last panel, which is the ability to source talent, right, in DAOs. I mean, how has that changed, and how does it affect or improve or impact is probably a better word, the DAOs or the work that you do?
I think a real challenge with talent is that it doesn't come with the money, right? So everyone that can just buy into a DAO doesn't necessarily have the talents that DAO needs. And so there is this disconnect between, is this member valuable for their skill set, or is this member valuable because they were able to contribute to the funds that keep the DAO operating? And I think that a lot of DAOs are hitting the point now where they've got sizable treasuries and not a lot of execution power. So there is a talent demand, certainly, and I think that just sourcing talent from outside of the DAO is a little bit of a stopgap fix. I think the direction we'd really like to be heading in is having DAO talent within the organization.
So I believe that DAOs changed the way we hire people a lot, but at the same time, most of the work is happening not in DAOs. It's happening in centralized teams, in foundations, and we should understand that DAOs is a very idealistic way to hire and manage and govern people for the common goal, and it has some restrictions because it has this idea that people should be growing inside of the organization. They should voluntarily come and start contributing before they can become full-time contributors, and so on and so on. And I think this restricts DAO a lot from just being efficient in some way, but at the same time it gives you lots of opportunities how you can innovate in hiring and managing people, but all the innovation has risks, and it's harder and easier to hire people for DAO, so it's just like moves to spectrums basically.
Well, I think there's one thing that's worth mentioning in music, which is one of the largest annual music awards, Grammy Awards. actually the way it's being operated and it's being conducted, it's actually a DAO, even though they don't claim that this is a DAO mechanism. For instance, like Assassin's Creed, for the very first time ever, it's got a nomination of Grammy Awards for 2023, and video game and music hasn't been recognized as a mainstream, as a main category. When you see the categories like pop music, like a classical music, like jazz music, like a cinematic music, but video game music is actually, for the first time, be acknowledged as part of the category under Grammy. And all of this is actually a together effort put by the members of the Recording Academy. It's not decided by the CEO of Grammy Awards. It's actually the voting members that would be able to go with the rules and to vote who they think would be winning the Grammy Awards. So actually, we're living in a place where there are so many projects that are part of a DAO, and there will be regulations, there will be memberships, there will be marketing, and also the crowd that would together work on this to make, for instance, in this case, a Grammy Awards happen.
Thanks, Jesse. That's really interesting because I often tell people from the legal side that if you're looking for guidance or guardrails, look to associations, sports leagues, something like the I don't know what they're called, but like the committee of the Grammys and the membership of that group, and because that kind of stuff's not novel. What's novel in the DAO really is the machine aspect to it, right? So the voting. Okay, keeping on the topic of another interesting part about, of course, talent and resourcing talent is that the global nature of a DAO means you could source talent anywhere at any time very quickly. That works usually if you know, like if I know Steve is in California and I can call him, but once you get into outsourcing, like Jesse was talking about, you still end up with strangers. And so if you're trying to outsource some talent to bring it into your DAO rather than groom it from the inside, there's still some challenges and frictions there. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that or any other part about locating talent or even offboarding talent, which is another challenge in DAOs. Maybe that's even a better conversation. It's not a pretty one, but I'll leave it with those two choices.
Oof, offboarding people. I think that actually offboarding is a really interesting topic just because of the many token-gated tools that are starting to emerge. So figuring out when someone needs to be offboarded, when they've sold their NFT, when they've left the community, and then going through and removing a lot of emails is a very kind of tedious task, and one that you can often kind of miss in the gears of the whole organization turning. But with the token-gated tools that are starting to emerge, you can start to do onboarding and offboarding really seamlessly, and make it just kind of like part of the ecosystem, truly Web3 native. I do want to still touch on the outsourcing. I think that you can outsource talents that aren't in the DAO, and I think that's an important thing to do. But DAOs kind of operate with the machinery of people. Even though we have all of these great ways to automate the flow of money, at the end of the day, when a proposal goes through and you have to decide how to make something reality, if it doesn't exist yet, it's people that make that happen. And even if you're outsourcing, you still have to have talented, interested, engaged individuals to make what the DAO wants to have happen actually happen, even if that involves outsourcing.
I believe that outsourcing is highly underrated in DAO world, because you as an organization, you should fulfill your mission and achieve your goals, and you shouldn't do everything on your own. This is why economy exists and different companies doing different parts of the job. And in Web3, we just love to reinvent the wheel every single time for everything we do. Oh, it should be done everything in very new, innovative way that no one did before and is not proved, not tested, and we'll spend 10 times more time just discussing and governing it instead of just allocating funds and someone making someone responsible for finding the right talent to do the right job to make it happen. Where DAO should focus is to build the culture and the core business processes and or impact processes to fulfill its mission. And not everyone should be really aligned with your values. Probably they just need to do great design, right? And I believe that if DAO succeed in long term, there's going to be just lots of service DAOs, Diorg or whatever, and they will be doing development. Some DAOs going to do design and so on, and we can live in this fully decentralized world with decentralized workforces and DAOs serving other DAOs. But today, you can just hire someone on Upwork to do this job and not look for someone inside of your community for a week. I believe that you should just find the balance and focus on what's core and outsource everything else, and don't care too much about value alignment and token gating and so on.
So I'm going to provide a bit of a different perspective, in particular in music. When musicians get together, they always wanted to talk about creativity with a little bit of beer or red wine, and they start jamming and they start to write music. What I'm seeing nowadays for music is that there are quite a few Web3 music companies going on there, and some of them focus on copyright, some of them focus on discovery, some of them focus on distribution. But if you go out and talk to your musician friends about, hey, have you heard of Web3? They will probably say, yes, I heard of it. Is it Bitcoin? And if you ask them, hey, have you heard of DAO? Usually they would say, what is DAO? They wouldn't be able to understand what that is. So apparently you see a gap over there, and it translated into a clear and obvious problem that we need to solve is that there's a lot of solutions that we can do to bridge Web 2 and Web 3. And in terms of for the music field, we don't have a lot of content going on integrated with Web 3 technology. We have audios, we have Royo, we have sound, but we don't necessarily find major or mainstream artists there to really be the influencer for this field. So I don't think for the music crowd, what's important is that you'll be able to lower the bar to provide easy to access a technological service, and to really have this talent of group where they will be able to be connected to the music crowd, that they can speak the same language. Then we set the regulations, not necessarily related to a governance, but some kind of like, hey, you come into this room, we're gonna jam music, we're gonna create music, and you have the right of your music, and you can actually generate more revenue by putting music out there on the Web3 streaming platform. That would be some of the solutions that we can look into. But for now, we really need a lot more content to be pulling in. Right now, it's too little.
Wow, that's really interesting. So we're just about up at time. A few people here. Does anybody have a question for these amazing panelists? Going once, twice, no questions. Does anybody want to just have something on their mind that they want to share?
I would like to discuss the topic, and we call talent the resource. And I believe that in Web3 we're not just changing the technology, but we're also changing the vocabulary which we use for explaining and defining social relations, institutes, and so on. And the resource is something that sounds like extractable and exploitable. And if we change a resource to asset, I think it makes much more sense in Web3 because you invest in people and people invest their time. And basically in Web3, you're not just optimizing for the higher salary, but you're building your own portfolio of different assets, reputational and financial, to increase your social and financial capital over time. And I like this changing this attitude from okay, I need to hire someone or I need to find a job, to let's find someone who can bring more value for us, and let's find an opportunity where I can get the maximum ROI in what's important for me, whether it's money or reputation or whatever, impact.
Very important. Ivan?
Well, so I will be closing the Dcentral tomorrow by throwing a live concert before Justin, Esther, and Michael would reveal this special announcement. And I hope you would join us on the main stage tomorrow around 4:15, I think.
Like that. Closing the conference, the concert tomorrow. Be there or be square. All right. That wraps up. I do have one thing to share with you with this big audience. Is this when you hire somebody in a DAO, just think about if you hired them by vote, how you can get rid of them. Because if it takes a vote of the DAO to get rid of somebody who you voted in by hiring them that way, they can be very disruptive on the way out and cost a lot of doubt. So really give it some thought about what process you're going to use. Process, process, process. Or as my wife would say, process.
Did you share what the best process is for?
I don't have the best process, but I can tell you the one I just outlined to you is not a good one.
Thank you. I want to thank the panel.